Welcome to Butcher Block Horror Podcast, where we exhume horror movies from the past and carve up our favorite portions to force feed to you, our unwitting victims. I'm Kane.
I'm JD, I think.
And I am Joe.
And
I can confirm that.
Well, that's good. That's good. Today, we're offering up The Black Cat, the 1981 Lucio Fulci film, very loosely based on the Edgar Allan Poe story of the same name.
And some other Edgar Allan Poe stories that they just threw in for chuckles.
If you enjoy the taste of these feasts of fright, then give us a follow on your favorite podcasting app. Hell, give us a review as well.
Oh,
if you'd
those
like a
feasts of
one-stop
fright
shop,
are delicious, Kane. Thank you.
if you'd
What
like
the
a
fuck
one-stop
kind of weird Yoda? What are you
What
doing?
the fuck are you guys doing? I'm busy. All right, I'm busy.
I can
Okay?
go.
Let me finish what I'm doing, and then you can do your tomfuckery. All right.
Yeah, Joe, stop being disruptive to Kane while he tries to do this professional
Shut up, JD.
thing.
If you'd
Sorry,
like
Dad.
a one-stop shop for all that we do, check out WeGiveYouBrainworms.com. That's where you'll find our Patreon link so you can directly support the show, as well as the link to our Discord community, which is funky and fresh.
It is.
And the links to our hearts.
Also,
Take another little piece of my heart now, baby.
you know, I'm starting to regret this daytime Butcher Block episode, all right? I'm starting to regret it.
We have so much more energy during the day.
Don't forget to check us out on YouTube at Brainworms Presents, and make sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell. Now, you fuckies made out of fuck, do your stuff, JD. Tell us about The Black Cat.
The Black Cat, yes, of course. Thanks for reminding me. I almost forgot.
I did forget.
It was released April 4th of 1981 in Italy, and then in the United States, February 10th of 1984.
Why do you think it took so long to make it here?
That's a good question, and
They had to ship it on a slow boat.
They shipped it by boat.
Yeah. That's why it took so long.
well, the film they used was very flammable. They had to be cautious, you know?
Yeah, they couldn't put it on an airplane.
Well, we also need to check. Joe, could you look up how long does it take to take a ship from Italy to New York, which is where I imagine.
Well, if it's a steamship, probably a pretty long time. So,
All right, well, this is 81, so I mean, it's probably like at least some sorts of gasoline, right?
no, it was powered by steam.
Yeah, the specific ship, or just in general, ships were steam powered until the 2000s.
Just the ship that they transported the Black Cat on was a steam engine.
So they chances are it didn't. Okay, whatever. You know what?
But according to the research I did in like 1 second, it usually takes between 12 and 15 days with 2 to 5 stops en route from Italy to New York.
So you're thinking it was more likely a rowboat?
Could have been. It could have been that some kind of hostile force was trying to seize the Black Cat, so they smuggled it on like a life raft.
Or maybe just Lucio Fulci clinched it in his teeth and swam it from Italy to New York. Maybe that's what it was.
Or maybe a team of cats brought it to America.
All right, well, I'm glad that fucking happened.
Sure.
Not asking any more questions today. Go ahead, JD. Keep letting us know what's going on.
Yeah, of course. The Black Cat had a runtime of 92 minutes. Zilch on the budget.
About
or
20
box
minutes
office.
too long, in my opinion.
Very possible. But I'm going to supplement my usual box office info, the money matters, with a brief talk about filming locations because of how beautiful and interesting some of the environment was in this film. The Black Cat was filmed mostly in the UK, including Hellfire Caves, West Wycombe, and Buckinghamshire, and in England.
Sure.
A lot of good shots in this movie.
Yeah, really cool stuff.
Yeah, some not so good shots, though.
But a lot of good ones.
Some not so good, some very, very good. But all in all, we are back on the subject of legendary, lovable horror and giallo film director Lucio Fulci.
Yeah.
The Italian godfather of gore.
That's very well said. We've spoken very highly of Lucio over the course of this podcast, and will continue to do so. He's Italian as fuck.
AF.
That's all I was going to add to what I've already said
Right.
to about him. You know, the producer, though, we have a new name on the butcher block, a new name
Nice.
on the slab to carve up, and that would be Giulio Sabargria.
Sure.
Is it Julio or Giulio?
It's pronounced Giulio.
Okay.
Yeah, Giulio Sabargria, I believe.
See me and Julio down by the schoolyard.
Yeah. he's new for us, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just take a quick look at him. He was born somewhere at a particular time. His career began in the early 60s. He made a film somewhere in the mid-70s called Salon Kitty, and it possibly had something to do with Nazis. I'm not too sure about it.
That's a lot to unpack.
I didn't recognize anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, then there's The Black Cat, and that was his last and only horror film.
He got in, was like, fuck this, and then got out.
Got out. Yeah, very concise.
Probably because he worked with Lucio Fulci once. He was like, I'm done. I'm fucking out of here.
Well, it was actually the last production credit of his career, so he must have just dipped out of film altogether after that.
Maybe Lucio Fulci walled him up in a building, and he's there to this day, rotting.
It's possible.
Or just abused him so thoroughly. There's like, I can't even. If this is what working on movies is like, I don't want to work on movies.
As the producer, I don't know. It doesn't seem like, because Fulci worked with some producers on multiple films. I don't know.
You think Lucio Fulci just hurts actors and not producers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he just focuses on doing bad stuff to actors.
Sure. Because as a young man, he had a bad experience at the theater and decided, I hate actors. I fucking hate them. and devoted his life to position himself in such a way that he could just abuse actors and profit.
Mostly just pelting them with live insects.
Yeah. And rubber bats.
Rubber spiders.
Seriously.
Live spiders.
Yeah. He went to great lengths to torment the actors in his films. That's a fact.
That is true. That is very true.
Yeah, on with the plot of The Black Cat. So we set our gaze upon an eerie, ominous English town, a very lovely town, but
it was lovely.
In broad daylight, it was lovely. At night, it seemed possibly cursed. Anyway.
Kind of a horny town.
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we join a man operating his motor vehicle where he encounters a black cat stowed away in the back seat of his whip. And this cat is mean mugging this dude's balls off. Not friendly.
I mean, that's just how cats look at people.
There was a bit of foreshadowing. We saw the car door. The back door was a bit of ajar. But
this guy was obviously not a cat person.
Right.
Not a cat person. And this cat was not a human person. So, or, I mean, not a human cat. So,
sure.
I mean, if you think about it, all cats hate humanity. They just tolerate us for food. It scritches.
And I think it's revealed at the end when they find elderly people alone with their cats, and the cats have eaten the soft tissue off their face.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's still food in the bowl.
Yeah, there could be just a little remnants there. Anyway.
Yeah, my understanding, and this is, I haven't independently researched this, is that a cat will eat you immediately.
Yep.
With no hesitation. If you die near it, you become meat.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I've read as well.
Yeah.
Your dog will exhaust all possible food sources before finally succumbing to starvation and just feasting on you.
But the cat's coming for you.
Right.
Immediately.
Yeah. So this cat's just mean mugging, and this guy just shits himself and crashes into a pole only to perish upon impact. Bummer.
Bursts into flames.
Yeah, he doesn't make it. And so the cat, or this evil beast rather, it saunters back to its home very gingerly in the daylight.
Very proud of what it's done.
Yeah, very proud. Going from rooftop to rooftop, and this thing just trots back home like it just was awarded a medal or something. Anyway.
Right.
Then we meet Robert Miles.
Professor Robert Miles, who was played by Patrick McGee.
Yep.
Known for the writer, I think, in A Clockwork Orange that tortures Alex with Beethoven. The role was intended for Donald Pleasance.
Oh, nice.
Which you would recognize that name as being Samuel Loomis in the Halloween movies.
Yeah, very familiar.
And it was originally offered to Peter Cushing, but Peter Cushing refused to do it because Fulci had a reputation for gory horror movies, and he wasn't about that.
And the things he liked to do to actors.
He wasn't about getting hit by maggots.
Right.
Showered
Could you imagine
fire ants.
Peter fucking Cushing getting showered with maggots? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not happening to Peter. He's
better than that.
So yeah, back to Robert Miles. He was an ex-college professor of all things supernatural. Professor Miles is also reputed to be a psychic medium.
So he's a shyster and a con artist, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's possible. He's also quite the curmudgeon.
With very animated eyebrows.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things were could have been mustaches on anyone. He had 2 mustaches above his eyes.
Eye stashes.
Eye stashes.
He had a very aggro disposition and is likely the reason he lives in solitude. Because nobody's putting up with that shit.
He's pretty crotchety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 peas in a pod, an unfriendly duo of man and cat.
Now, he actually passed away in August of 1982.
Yeah, that is quite unfortunate.
Yeah.
So yeah, Miles makes weird audio tape recordings at the tombs of recently deceased people. Now there's a hobby, huh?
Yeah. He also makes weird audio recordings in his bedroom at night, but the movie doesn't get into that.
Oh.
Well, how did you deduce that, Joe?
He had a vibe.
Yeah.
Oh, you think he did? Okay.
Yeah. That's just a feeling that I had. The movie didn't really give me any evidence.
The feeling you got from his eyebrows. I get it. So now we're introduced to American tourist Jill Trevors.
Who's played by Mimsy Farmer.
Yes, good old Mimsy. And she naively wanders into an open crypt, taking photos for her scrapbook. In doing so, she discovers a tiny little microphone. On her way out, she encounters the Fuzz, the motherfucking 5-0.
So, JD, she was born Merle Farmer in Chicago, Illinois. I figured you'd want to know that.
Oh, sweet. Hell yeah.
I almost forgot.
Go Chicago natives. Anyway, she encounters Sergeant Wilson, who warns her to stay the fuck out of open crypts.
He had a magic mustache as well and was played by Al Cliver.
Yeah, we spent the whole movie calling him Mustache Cop.
Yep.
Mustache Cop!
So then we meet Maureen Grayson.
Played by Daniela Doria.
And her boyfriend Stan.
Who wasn't listed.
Yeah, he just was less important. We know Stan by his passionate kisses. Yeah.
I mean, the face eater?
Yeah. He was chewing on her neck bone. She was like...
She seemed into it, though, so I guess it's fine.
Yes.
As long as she's into it, do your thing. Anyway, it was just supposedly 2 teenagers in a rowboat paddling around, scouting out a place to have some sex.
They weren't teenagers.
Well, they were depicted as teenagers. I mean, she had a young mom who was also very horny.
Oh, sure.
And we're going to get to her. So anyway, the 2 find themselves locked in an airtight boathouse, sadly.
Yeah.
I would like to state for the record that the amount of time and skill that would have to go into making that room, finger quotes, airtight.
Right.
Airtight, truly.
You wouldn't be able to see the outside. The amount of money that would have had to go into that.
Yeah, no, I think that was a lie. I think that guy just wanted to bone down, and they couldn't just bone down in a boat tied to the dock out in the open air where other people lived and worked.
Well, that's how it started, right?
So he had to be like, well, I know a private place we can go. It's airtight. Like, that was just his story so that, fucking could occur.
But they died of fucking asphyxiation.
Oxygen deprivation.
Oh,
yeah, it turns out that humans need oxygen.
And that airtight room prevented it.
That's true. Very, very true.
I don't know.
And you know what? This occurred to me. They really probably should have just started banging about it because they might have reached some state of like erotic asphyxiation and just orgasmed intensely until their final moments.
I think that she should have vomited up her intestines.
Well, it looked to be so as they were both sweating profusely and foaming
The
out
reason
the
I
mouth.
say that is the last time we talked about a movie she was in was City of the Living Dead, and she vomited up her intestines.
Right.
Nice.
In every scene, she's necking. Every scene that she dies in a Fulci film so far that we've talked about, she's necking.
Yeah.
She's definitely making out, getting frisky.
Yeah.
And then some supernatural being comes along and cock blocks.
Breasts exposed for our pleasure.
I feel like Stan would have been all about that erotic asphyxiation idea.
That's a weird assumption.
Yeah, that's a very weird assumption.
He was the horniest dude, though, like, probably I've ever seen on film.
I don't know if that's true.
JD, we watched an Evil Dead themed porno.
That's porn. Like, I'm talking about like regular horror films. Like, this guy was just trying to bone down. Like, that was his objective.
All right.
Yeah. To the point where he led them both into an airtight room and they died as a result. So that's, yeah. Anyway, so now cut to the next day where we meet Lillian Grayson,
Played by Dagmar Lysander.
Maureen's very horny mom,
Right.
and her boyfriend, or whoever.
Yeah, he didn't even have a name in the movie,
No.
let alone a credit.
They're doing a bit of smooching and all that stuff, and then it comes to her attention that her daughter's missing, so she calls the police to report a missing person.
Well, let's be clear about how this came about.
Okay.
All right. She was getting ready to bang her boyfriend. She was like, oh, let me make sure my daughter's sleeping. It was during the day, mind you.
It was like 11 a.m. at the earliest.
Right. It was early. And so she sees that her daughter's bed is made and she just immediately freaks out.
Yeah. She expected her daughter to be in there sleeping in, I guess, but yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe we took it wrong. Maybe she expected her daughter to still be in bed. Like, this shiftless layabout's still in bed. If we're gonna fuck, we gotta make sure she's out cold.
Right.
Or I'm gonna go in there and rag on her for being a bum.
Sure. Which I guess they had to do to tenuously tie those two plot threads together.
Right.
So, like, whatever.
Yeah, she calls the police, and then, Sergeant Wilson calls for his own backup.
Mustache cop!
I know, right? That's when we meet an inspector from Scotland Yard named Inspector Gorley.
Inspector
Who's
Gadget.
played by David Warbeck, also a Fulci alum.
Yep. And he comes to town on a motorcycle and catches a speeding ticket from Sergeant Wilson.
Mustache cop!
Because even though he invites him, he's not taking any shit off anyone. He's gonna report his own kind. He's just real stand-up inspector.
Yeah, because he's even like, whatever, dude. Just like, it's fine. I'm a cop. Don't worry about it. And Mustache Cop's like, no. I'm still going to give you this ticket.
Right.
Yeah, you're paying the penalty there, sir. Meanwhile, Jill is in hot pursuit of whoever owns that little microphone, and her efforts lead her to Robert Miles. Old angry dickbag, Robert Miles.
Magic fucking mustache eyebrows.
Yeah, and so the two of them, they engage into a bit of an existentialist conversation, the barriers of perception and how to escape them, that sort of thing. So then Miles, he tries to hypnotize Jill. They get to that point somehow, and
gets real creepy.
Yeah, it's a very
Are big weird eyebrows a prerequisite for being into hypnosis, do you think?
It's possible.
I don't know, Joe.
Because I see a lot of correlation.
I think you should do some independent study and then get back to me.
Oh, sure.
And we'll record your findings for our hiatus.
I'll look into that.
Jill gets saved, though, in a way, by the cat.
By Jesus.
Who whoops Miles' ass.
Pretty sufficiently.
Yeah,
it just comes up with the claws out and lets him have it.
This cat particularly hates hands.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, and cheeks, faces,
yeah,
hands.
Faces for sure.
Yeah, but you better be on ready when that cat shows up. So anyway, yeah, Jill wisely gets the fuck out of there. That night, we meet a local named Ferguson.
Played by Bruno Corazzari.
Nice. But in the film, just Ferguson only goes by one name. And he would have gone by Fergie, but that was already taken by the woman from the Black Eyed Peas, so he just...
No, it wasn't.
Isn't that her name?
I mean, yeah, but the Black Eyed Peas didn't get big until like the late 90s, and this movie came out.
I'm making a joke, Joe. It's not a great joke, but a joke nonetheless. So,
well, I think that joke just got disemboweled. So, moving on, Joe, you murderer of jokes.
That's okay. I mean, let's see. Anyway, Fergie stumbles out of a late night watering hole before an encounter with the black cat, who absolutely scares the fucking shit out of him.
And hates him.
Right. And instead of kicking this fucking cat into oblivion, he decides to run and hide.
Well, not before throwing a rock.
He does. Fucking give it the old Nolan Ryan fastball.
Which we see two shots of. We see a shot that he obviously misses. Like, hard misses. And then a second later, we see a shot, which is the same rock throw,
right.
Only that one connects.
Yeah.
It's Yahtzee, baby.
Like, they couldn't have even edited that with any kind of proficiency. They're just like, fuck it, throw it in.
Like, the trajectory of the rock changed. It was like...
Exactly. Like, the first throw goes over it and bounces away, and then it cuts to another... shot of the same rock throw, apparently.
Yeah, it was like a slider
perfectly.
that like tailed into the batter. It was pretty intense. Anyway, he decides to flee from the terror of this cat and winds up in a barn somehow, finds himself dangling, holding on to a beam.
Was it a barn?
It was some structure like that. I don't know.
It was almost like a pallet shed or something.
Whatever.
Because it was just filled with pallets. And I think we're missing an important scene.
Are we, though?
Well, you go ahead and fill us in then.
Ferguson locks a door behind himself. That's like a barred door. Like you close the door and then you shut the bar down, right?
Yeah.
This is true, and I'm glad you're making this point.
He goes inside to hide and to try to escape. He's like looking for a way out, you know. The fucking cat jumps up and opens the door. This was not a puppet. This was an actual real live cat.
Yeah. How did they get that cat to do that?
How the hell did they get that cat? I'm assuming they put some sort of food.
Like mice guts.
Or just fucking
why would no?
or...
It's probably kibble, maybe, you know? Like
I'm going with mice guts because it's a Fulci film.
okay, yeah, it is a Fulci film. It was probably mice guts.
Valid, yeah.
Shit, it might have been cat guts. All right, it's fucking Fulci.
Yeah.
So yeah, the cat. It spends a long time filming this too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a minute and a half of this cat struggling and opening up this door.
It was so impressive that the cinematographer was just like, let's just keep this rolling.
Yeah. Although that was pretty common in this movie, just like
Yes.
a thing that could have been a 15-second fucking moment of film would just go on and on and on.
Well, you don't get to 92 minutes without that happening.
Right. So early in the film, we commented on the fact because Professor Miles goes to a cemetery and he's going to the guy that dies in the beginning of the film that blows up in the car or whatever.
Yeah.
He goes to his grave and there's this cool effect, or at least it starts out cool, where the focus is on the microphone and then it shifts and it focuses to the tombstone.
Right.
And then it focuses on some kind of weird, like dialed meter. And then it focuses back and it looked cool as shit, but then he just kept doing it.
Right.
It was like he found a new toy and he was like, I'm just going to keep playing with this.
And Fulci likes doing these slow zooms into eyes.
Which were cool.
But they were just, it was just done like in the same scene. It was just
right.
Zoom in on the eyes, zoom out away from the eyes, zoom in on the eyes. Show the cat for a second, zoom back in on the eyes.
Who was the cinematographer? I know, I think you already said it, but.
Yeah, I said it when we were watching the movie. Now I forgot. Oh, yeah, Sergio Salvati.
Okay.
He does cinematography for most of Fulci's movies, I think.
Yeah, so the cinematography in this was great, just overdone.
Yeah.
Like he would do a trick too many damn times.
Yeah.
Give us a break. But real quick, JD, I'm sorry this went way on too far. So yeah, so Ferguson closes the door as the cat's trying to open it. He's hanging onto a beam. Continue painting our picture.
All right, I will. He's hanging onto this beam. He's kind of has a little bit of something under his feet, but not really. It's not very wide, and it's not enough for him to balance on efficiently. So he's holding this.
And he's wildly drunk.
He's wildly drunk.
Me too.
That's the other part of it. And what happens then? The cat comes and scratches the fuck out of his hands like it does.
Cat scratch fever.
Yep. And he loses his grip and then falls to his death over some spikes on the ground.
Which was some foreshadowing in the scene. Like as soon as I saw that,
oh yeah,
I was like, oh, that guy's going on those spikes.
Yeah, that's horror movie setup and payoff. If you show like a pointy thing, somebody's going to get impaled on it.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of points, I would like to make a quick one about this movie's universe. You shan't not wander into enclosed spaces in this film because there could be spikes on the ground. It could be airtight. It's just risky indoors for you. You just don't go into places.
Yeah, just stay outside.
Stay outside. And even then, get in your car, that's bad news.
Right.
So before you continue, I want to comment about the score because from the beginning of the film throughout, it's got a decent score. Like it's a Fulci film.
Right.
Almost all of his films have great music, but there were times where it had me feel in ways that horror movies shouldn't make you feel.
Right.
Like aroused?
Well, I think what you're referring
Joe,
to
why
is
it always arousse?
the
It was
soft
confusion.
James Taylor-esque
Yeah,
melodies.
Exactly.
It had some like early 70s like folk rock kind of vibes.
Yeah, like a little Sounds of America, maybe.
Yeah. That a horror movie soundtrack should not have.
No. And the music was done by Pino Donaggio, who was a known collaborator with Brian De Palma. So he's like, he knows thrillers, right? Like he knows suspense building music. it boggles my mind at some of the songs that were played during this film.
Like, what kind of mood were they trying to set?
Confusing.
Yeah.
That's the mood. It was confusing. You're like, what?
Bingo.
What?
Success.
I'm so confused.
Yeah.
Right? It worked.
It surely did. So, yeah.
Yeah, so Ferguson dies on the spikes. I apologize. I had to talk about the score. I was going to forget if I didn't.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we got it out there because it was fun. Anyway, Inspector Gorley, he shows up to the scene along with Jill, and Gorley has her, photographing dead Fergie on the ground over some spikes.
Which is her first corpse photography.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but not her last. She gets lots of...
Because she's the only photographer in the town. That's how she gets drawn into the plot of the movie.
She's the only person who owns a camera. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like, she's just an American who's visiting this little town to take some fun photos for her scrapbook or whatever.
Yeah.
And she gets drawn into this murder mystery because there are no other photographers.
Yeah, and now she's coupled with the law to collect crime scene footage.
It's just a thin premise.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a Fulci film.
That's fair.
Right. So anyway, Jill recognizes the cat scratches on the hand of Fergie.
Cat scratch fever!
And she quickly draws a line back to Miles and, most obviously, the black cat. So now, Mrs. Grayson shows up to Miles's house, pleading with him to help find her daughter. And it is, I thought, kind of revealed that the two may have had they might have been past lovebirds, and there was some sort of romance they shared long ago. So Miles, very reluctantly, decides to help her out. And Miles holds a bracelet in his hand, once worn by Maureen, and he uses this to sort of conjure his psychic powers. And in doing so, he describes the boathouse where Maureen and Stan perish. And in his trance-like state, he also locates the key.
It's on a tarp.
Right. So Mrs. Grayson and the Popo rush to the location Miles describes.
Mustache cop!
And they batter down the door, only to find the outrageously decomposed bodies of Maureen and Stan.
Fulci always delivers with the decomposing corpses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were quite a sight.
But no insects. I was surprised that his decomposing corpses had 0 live insects on them.
Well, can insects live in airtight places? That's what I want to know.
Well, I mean, apparently rust can happen in air, so who knows what
Yeah.
the rules are.
Wait, where are we going?
I don't know. It's too science, though. Let's get back to this movie. It's too science.
Too science.
But they also discover the key, and so they rule out the possibility of murder, at least by other humans, but possibly by a cat.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's the conclusion I drew there. Anyway, that evening, the cat takes its next victim, Mrs. Grayson. The cat is actually a pyromaniac cat.
Oh, God.
Well, you didn't like that? I said it.
We're fired.
Just
Anyway, Grayson's entire house goes up in flames. Everything's burning away. And Mrs. Grayson was one of the most flammable people I've ever seen in film.
Yeah.
I would also like to tell you some trivia I read that a breakaway wall actually fell on her during the fire filming scene.
Oh.
Accidentally.
She almost died. Dagmar Lassender almost died filming that scene because a breakaway wall on fire fell on her.
Man, that's no way to go.
Yeah, because Lucio Fulci isn't known for hurting actors.
I mean, yeah.
The plot thickens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The plot.
The plot within a plot.
I'm glad that I'm not glad he's gone, but for our safety, having unlocked this secret, I'm glad that he's not around to come after us for
You
it.
might know a few Italian hitmen, some mobsters, possibly. You never know.
God damn it.
Yeah, so anyway, Grayson's entire house, with her inside, all goes up
But
in
not the
flames.
boyfriend.
Not the boyfriend. He's somewhere. And it's all due to the paw work of the cat.
The cat's paw.
Well, I would have said handiwork, but cats don't have hands. Anyway, Jill goes to visit Miles in an attempt to thread this whole thing together. And she's got photos of hand scratches and subtle shit she's noticed. But Jill has suspicion, though, of Miles having possibly some evil spell over the cat. But Miles assures Jill that it in fact goes the other way around, that the cat has control over him. And so then that night, Miles drugs the...
Which is true. Anybody that has a cat knows that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. I do belong to my cats. That's a fact.
Can confirm.
Anyway, that night, Miles drugs the cat, and he hangs it from a tree branch, and just sort of leaves him dangling there. And as the cat leaves its mortal coil, it unleashes evil forces. Jill wakes up abruptly from her sleep, kind of as that happens.
The whole room is shaken!
Yeah, exactly. And the cat somehow reappears as some kind of ghost cat, I guess.
Yeah.
And curses Miles in that respect, where it's like, you just can't get rid of this fucking thing, you know? It's like, you're screwed, buddy. So Inspector Gorley then pays Jill a visit late at night.
Bow, chicka, chicka, bow, wow.
Yeah, to discuss the flashes of light that she had seen and whatever else. And so anyway,
yeah.
Gorley...
Likely story.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Gorley leaves Jill's place and gets attacked and hypnotized by this evil cat creature. Gorley ended up getting ran over by a car, though, while staggering around in his trance-like state.
It's a powerful cat.
Yeah, very, very powerful cat.
No wonder the Egyptians worshipped them.
Yeah, they had no choice. It was worship us or get fucked. So anyway, yeah, Jill, she still doesn't really trust Miles. She still suspects that he's, been behind this thing, leading it all through the bad shit we've all observed, and still maybe controlling the cat. She doesn't really know. It's all speculation. So she goes snooping through Miles' home, through his stuff, through his office, and finds his creepy audio tape collection of him communing with the dead. And so then through windows, she finds that Miles has returned home. And now she has to find a place to hide. So she chooses the cellar. And as we all know in horror films, that's not your first pick.
Best possible location to hide.
Don't go in the basement.
No. Best possible location to hide.
Yeah, if
you're trying to get killed by the monster quickly and smoothly, just immediately go to the basement. And then you don't have to deal with the terror or anything like that. You can just get offed right off the bat.
Yeah. It's like the "you can't fire me, I quit" move.
Exactly. It's like, you can't terrify me, I'm dead.
Right.
Take note, future horror film characters, just burst through the door swinging and at full speed, and maybe you'll make it.
Yeah.
Don't go downstairs. Don't put yourself in an enclosed space, because we already know how that goes. So
sure.
But anyway, down there, she encounters the Black Cat 2.0, who has all its evil abilities and more. Now it can appear and disappear and reappear before her very eyes.
Which she is attempting to, I guess, give it a seizure by flashing the flash on her camera over and over again.
Yeah.
It's definitely annoying as an audience member to watch that fucking flash going on.
Well, I mean, they zoom in on the cat's eyes, and it is obviously annoyed too.
Oh, yeah. The cat hates it.
It's like, why the fuck are you? Why? Stop. No. God, stop it.
So in her terrified state, she attempts to escape, but not before being confronted by Miles. And Miles explains to Jill how the cat has read his mind and has absorbed his hatred for the village folks around town. He's kind of as bitter, and the cat acts out and kills people. It's out of Miles' control, but it acts on its own, fueled by Miles' rage, if that makes sense.
It doesn't, but carry on.
Jill, she tries to escape, but gets attacked by bats. They basically just style her hair, or restyle her hair.
Would we consider those puppets?
Some of them, yeah. I mean, it wasn't like they had real bats down there.
So those were, because you could see the strings.
Bat
like you
prosthetics.
could see the fishing wire.
But yeah, they just hovered overhead, and they didn't really seem to do much to her other than, like I said, restyle her hair. But terrifying nonetheless. Anyway, she her attempt to escape is foiled, and Miles splits her wig with a stick.
Which was one of the most satisfying movie bludgeonings that I've seen in a while.
Yeah, you loved that bonk.
I really did. Just because normally the way those scenes are shot is you see the killer's perspective, and then it usually will kind of go behind the victim. and you'll see the thing happening and maybe their hair will move. This looked like Fulci was like, no, hit her.
I mean,
and Pat McGee was like, I don't really want to hit her like that. He's like, no, hit her. I want you to put some stank on it.
Yeah, he sure did.
So it looked like he fucking wailed her with that fucking pipe.
I imagine that actor was lied to. Like, no, it's a fake thing. It's a prop. You can swing it as hard as you can and nobody's going to get hurt. And it was not.
No.
So yeah, back to the plot of our film. Now Jill she really finds herself in a pickle. She's bound and gagged, and that's perfectly fine if it's, consensual, folks, but this was not going her way. So Miles is walling her up with bricks into a space inside the cellar wall. And that's a very Edgar Allan Poe thing to have happen.
Yeah.
Very fitting. Miles covers his tracks by taking Jill's keys and all her belongings, emptying her hotel room, creating the appearance that she'd split from the village.
Very clever.
Yeah. Knows what he's doing. However, Inspector Gorley, who miraculously survived his little car incident, he shows up at Miles' house along with Sergeant Wilson and his
mustache cop
and his superior named Inspector Flynn. And they demand to search Miles' home for clues about his cat or Jill. They search and search, but nothing comes up. Now they're about to bail, but their keen detective ears pick up the faint cries of a cat coming from the cellar. So naturally, this re-sparks their interest, and in this leg of the search, they discover the newly bricked up wall, and they bat it down, and only to find Jill barely conscious. And the cat. The cat's also there. Yep.
Yeah, cat's in there too.
Ghost cat.
Ghost cat 2.0.
Stuck in a wall.
Extra evil. And I don't think Miles knew the cat was in there. Maybe it teleported in there. I don't know what happened, but somehow it was in there. It kind of saved Jill's ass.
Hey.
This cat has saved Jill twice, really. He saved her from Miles once, and now has saved her from Miles again. Evil was on Jill's team. Anyway, so she's rescued by the inspectors, and then Miles has a final word, something to the effect of, the cat has won, and then he acknowledges that he himself has fallen victim to its evils. And that's pretty much the end of the movie.
Yeah.
It went too far. Like, it went on too long.
Yeah.
There was a lot of scenes, like, even though I loved the scene of the cat opening the door, they didn't have to spend a whole, 2 minutes on that scene.
Yeah. It almost felt like there was more runtime they had to fill than written script.
Right.
So they had to pad out individual scenes.
Agreed. But we'll dive into that here in a minute.
Yeah.
Right now,
Of all
let's
the
talk about
films
special.
to not be affected by a studio intervention where they cut out shit, you know what I mean?
Right.
Go ahead and cut some of that.
And real quick, JD, before you get into the actual special effects,
Sure.
I want to point out something that I saw on the IMDb page for this movie. There's one credit for art department.
Okay.
It's Alfredo D'Angelo, who was credited with carpets and drapes.
Yeah, I noticed that.
No
I
other
noticed
art
that.
department credits.
Right. Well, there were special effects credits.
Did they match?
We didn't get to find out. Mrs. Grayson.
Wait,
anyway.
what are we talking about?
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
But yeah, I don't remember my attention being called to the carpets and drapes in this movie.
No.
But apparently they had one person whose job it was, and they are the only art department credit that survived on IMDb.
Yeah.
And I thought that was
mighty
funny.
peculiar.
Yeah.
So yeah, the special effects artist credited to the Black Cat was Paulo Risi. Born at a place and time, is best known for his work on Warrior of the Lost World from 1984 and A Man Called Rage, also in 1984. Lots and lots of sci-fi, horror, and action movies for Paulo. His career dates all the way back to the early 60s, beginning with War of the Zombies in 1964.
Sounds cool.
So now, is that zombies versus zombies or zombies versus mankind?
I didn't do any research on War of the Zombies.
Zombies versus werewolves, probably.
I just focused all my attention to the details of the Black Cat.
No, that makes sense. I really want to watch a movie with just zombies versus zombies, and humanity's just spared. Like, humanity's just watching it happen.
Based on what I can see, it's zombies versus people.
No.
It's apparently a fantastic yarn about a plot to conquer the world with an army of zombies.
Nice. Yeah, and on that film, Paulo was the pyrotechnician, not to be confused with the pyrotechnicat. And Paulo has 118 special effects credits to his name.
Nice.
Most of them, like I said, there were action, some sci-fi, some horror, combinations of sci-fi and action and horror.
Action.
Yeah, every combination of those three things could be found in his credits. And that's really all I have to say about the special effects. There was only one player in the game. But I did really enjoy the festering corpses and the way, well, the facial fake blood was a little silly. Mm-hmm. You know, it was confusing. In moments there was a lot of blood, and other moments there was very little blood. It just kind of like did its own thing, and it really just looked like his face was stained with beet juice in one of the scenes. Sure. It wasn't convincing.
Well, he was making a smoothie and he didn't have the lid on tight enough.
I would say special effects wise is very restrained for a Fulci film.
Yeah, they
put all the money into the cat.
They were being good. Or cats. It seemed to be possible that there were multiple cats trained to do, different things.
Oh, sure.
And like Pet Sematary.
Right.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to our personal experience with the film. Joe, go ahead and start us off.
Yeah, I hadn't seen this movie until today. It was fine. It went on for too long. I found myself kind of zoning out.
Right.
Basically, any time when the cat wasn't on screen doing murder for long stretches of time,
right,
the movie kind of lost my attention. Not necessarily the movie's fault. I mean, I zone out pretty easily at the best of times, but...
That's fair. They did meander a bit with their storytelling and, extended footage that had an unnecessary feel.
Agreed.
That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Okay. JD?
So yeah, if it's my turn, then I have a large collection of Lucio Fulci's films. I have a DVD copy of this and many others. And so it's not my first rodeo with the Black Cat. I feel like it's a charming horror tale. Excuse the pun. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love cats, and so it's fun for me to
watch them being involved with murder.
Yeah, in October, right around Halloween, it's a good, kind of spooky black cat thing that you can get into. Throw this movie on while carving a pumpkin, something of, along those lines. But I'm a little stumped, other than just like really enjoying the little bit of gore that this film offers. The little bit that was present was strong.
It was good stuff.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. Fulci is never gonna half-step the human versus animal attacks, things like that, live insects, all that stuff that we've mentioned. He's always really good about conflicts with animals and insects, and right. I don't even know what to say. I kind of just feel like the last 92 minutes is it has me in some sort of a hypnotic state. Possibly that I'm under the...
A black cat is controlling you.
It's possible, and I live with a black cat, and that cat might just have my tongue right now. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the torch to our friend Kane.
Yeah, I've seen this in bits and pieces, but not in its entirety until today. Like, I remembered the walling up scene, and I remembered some of the other scenes, like the fire scene and stuff like that. But I don't know why, but I just was never... I think I had seen so many versions of the Black Cat that I just didn't add this one to the list, really.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, overall, I had a good time. It had some really fun shots, some things that really were exciting for me. Like when they would cut to those things, I was like, oh, that's really cool, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, sure.
But for the most part, this could have been a 60-minute movie and it would have been fine. Like, you watch a Fulci film, not for the plot, right? Like, we watch, House by the Cemetery, City of the Living Dead, The Beyond. We watched those three films and the plots were a little convoluted. It was hard to follow, right?
Right.
But it didn't matter because what was on screen was so appealing that the story just really didn't matter. It's the same thing with like Demons. I don't give a crap about the story of Demons. It was just fun to watch.
It almost was made better by the fact that the story was utter fucking nonsense.
Exactly. Like, we're just there for the insanity. And so him taking a more restrained approach with this film, I don't think it did it any favors.
No.
Fulci's not great at storytelling. He's great at visual gore and just splatterpunk, basically.
Right. Oh, quick aside, Sergio Salvati, the cinematographer for this movie, also did cinematography for the first Puppet Master film.
Right.
And I feel like, yeah, I get it. Dude's got a style.
But yeah, so overall, not my favorite Fulci film, but I'll watch it again in the future because I had a good enough time that it seems like something to put on. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else to say. Does anybody else have anything else to say?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, not so much.
All right. If you watched The Black Cat, let us know what you think. You can find us at WeGiveYouBrainworms.com. Also, make sure to follow us on your favorite podcasting app or like our videos on YouTube and subscribe and click the bell.
Yep, click
and
that
wait,
bell.
Next week.
Oh, that's what I was about to get to. I also want to say beforehand, Happy Halloween.
Oh, sure.
I would also like to say Happy Halloween.
Yeah, although we'll have another episode out, I think, before Halloween, so.
Yeah, we'll say it again.
But I just want to emphasize my happiness for Halloween.
So next week, we finish off with the conclusion of the Three Mothers trilogy, which is Dario Argento's horror trilogy. But we're doing 2007's Mother of Tears. I'm not stoked.
Yeah, I've heard it's not very good.
Well, I'm not stoked featuring a movie with Asia Argento.
Oh, yeah, also valid.
But it'll finish the trilogy off and let us throw some verbal feces at her in the process.
Right. Also, it's probably not going to have any puppets in it.
Exactly. Well, I mean, the Black Cat didn't really have any puppets. So when we first
It
started
had
doing
a cat puppet sometimes.
Prosthetic
Block.
cat paws.
we decided that because Lucio Fulci and Dario Argento are like the top tier of the era of horror that we're trying to cover.
The godparents of horror.
Exactly. We would finish each season with their films. And then we started doing themes. And those don't there was a little bit of puppetry in the Black Cat, but not much.
Not much.
Not much at all. It was mostly a live cat held by a crew member.
And we did acknowledge that we had passed that point after Dead Silence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, so next week we're doing Mother of Tears. Make sure you watch it. It's probably not great.
Watch it. Watch what? We're a podcast. Oh, wait, no, watch the movie. I'm sorry.
We're covering Mother of Tears. You should watch the movie
Right.
so that you'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah. I had a
Or
moment.
don't. Joe doesn't care. Joe doesn't pay attention.
I don't.
Anyhow, that's it for us. We'll see you. Thanks again.
See you next time.
Bye.
Wow. Oh.